It's recording a call.
Yep, we're rolling. All right, so I'm joined with Laura Harper. She is going to explain all about economics to us today.
No.
She's
No.
she's a master in economics. Just kidding. Would you say you're actually studying finance and accounting?
Yes.
Why did I think, are you getting a minor in economics?
I was, but then I changed it to business management because the economics program at Finley isn't very good.
Oh, I did not know that.
Sorry.
Well, she's going to be giving us financial advice today. She's going to teach us how to ride out the pandemic recession and come out on top, right?
Sure. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, you had an assignment to look up what happened with oil today.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Do you want to share with us?
Sure. So basically, the futures contract, which do you know about futures contracts at all, or should I explain those?
Well, you can go ahead and explain it a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so basically a futures contract is a type of financial derivative. So it's based on the underlying asset of actual crude oil, but the futures contract itself is traded as to what the futures price will be. So that's the contract that people get into. So in the market, there's hedgers and speculators. So hedgers are like in the crude oil market, for instance, they're the marathons, the airplane industries, the companies who are actually using crude oil and have a role in the use of crude oil, whereas speculators have really nothing to do with the actual product. They're just, we call them paper traders, so they're just using the financial instruments to try and make money off of it. So that's the basic use of a futures contract, is to either make money or to hedge against the physical product that you have. And so the futures contract today went negative for crude oil, which is the first time it's ever happened. And it ended up, the final closing, the lowest price that it hit was negative 37.63, which means that these producers are like paying people to take their crude oil away from them. This is WTI crude, which is kind of the American benchmark of the crude oil. So with that, basically futures contracts for crude oil are set up on a month-by-month basis. So all of them, this was for the contract that expired tomorrow, so all the rest are just kind of collapsing, just a kind of chain reaction with that. So it's basically just, a very, very low demand in the market right now, extremely high inventories. OPEC just signed the deal to cut, producing 10 billion barrels a day, I believe, somewhere around there. But we still have such low demand, such low prices, that such high supply. It's just kind of what caused the price to collapse like this.
Well, there's no storage for it also, right?
Right, yep. Running out of
kind of the main problem. That's crazy. Don't you wish you had, I don't know, somewhere to store oil right now?
Oil tank farm, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You get a lot of money off
Go
of that
install
down
one.
the road. Only big upfront cost there, but yeah.
That is, I mean, it's insane. You never really would think that so many just like fundamentals have been destroyed in the last couple months. Interest rates down to zero in the United States.
Just the whole three years of a good economy wiped out in the span of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what happens, I guess, when you're not active at all. It kind of questions maybe how strong it actually was underlying, though.
I suppose it's probably overstated a bit, but
I think that I think we have a debt problem, and and it's not a good problem to have.
I'd agree with you.
So, in my view, the stock market's so high right now because there's nothing else to put money into. There's not a good investment out there.
That's a fair statement. Kind of I mean, it was severely hurt today, down like 2% because of oil affected that overall, but
right. So it's crazy still how much oil kind of drives the market and how tethered it has been.
It's very highly traded in terms of how much oil. I mean, we use a lot. This country uses a lot. Goes through a lot of oil, not just gasoline, but all the other products that come off of crude oil, the asphalts, the plastics, like everything surrounding us comes from crude oil.
Right.
And I mean, that's a lot, but how much it's traded, I mean, if you look at open interest overall, it's close to 100 times how much we actually use is how much is traded, which means that there's a lot of those speculators in that market, which is really affecting the price quite a bit.
Yeah, and I don't know. Thank you for educating me because I haven't really dove that deep into commodity trades, which actually when I talked to you a while back, were you studying commodity trades?
So my freshman year of college, I did a research paper on the cocoa market and I didn't finish. I applied some of the same concepts that I used in that to the crude oil market. But that would be a very long paper to write if I was going to do that, because the crude oil market the cocoa market's a lot more easy and straightforward, whereas the crude oil market has so many factors that come into the price of it that would be a lot to get into. But yeah, commodities, derivatives, so that.
Do you think that this could damage oil enough to kind of decouple it from the overall economy or from the market?
What do you mean exactly by that?
As in, they wouldn't be as connected anymore?
I don't know. I think it's been historically has been a pretty big, like when I had to do an economic outlook forecast project last year, one of the economic indicators that I looked at was crude oil prices. Like it's such an integral part to not only the market, but like our overall economy. I mean, becoming energy independent and all this has been a big part of America. So I don't know if I think if the economy slowly starts opening back up, that'll help crude oil immensely, but it's definitely taken a blow.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't see another war out of it.
No.
How many of our wars or conflicts have been fought over oil in the last 150 years or so?
Probably quite a few. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But no, I don't feel like we have a very healthy market right now. But I also think that the stock market is still the best option for your money, as scary as it is.
I mean, interest rates aren't.
Well, there's really nothing else to invest in.
No.
There's nothing else.
No.
So that's why, I don't think the market is worth what it is, but I don't know how you can get out of it. If you get out of it, you're going to miss all that inflation from all this money that's been pumped into the market. I guarantee most of that is going to go into the stock market, most of this bailout.
Yeah.
It's just, it's kind of an insane system. But the way that you have it built, it's like, I don't know how you could even make a different move than to bail out a lot of these things and to pump it with money.
It's a lot of people's livelihoods and retirements that are woven into that.
Right, but I mean, I don't know. The people that went out on these Unfortunately, it seems to be large banks and huge corporations.
So, yeah.
Because I mean, well, there's several different reasons, but what scares me the most about this is the possibility of it absolutely wiping out small and medium companies and gathering more and more towards the top.
Yeah, I think I just saw today that Congress is working for another $300 billion in small business loans, I think.
Yeah.
After the Democrats shut that down,
alone though.
Yeah.
I mean, well, then you have the federal government practically owning most of those businesses.
Good.
It's not an amazing outlook. I don't know. I've always been very rooted, I guess, in capitalist ideals.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't look at the United States and call it a capitalist system even. You can't even champion it as a capitalist system.
No. I mean, it's the closest, I think, in the world to being a capitalist system, but definitely not here.
Maybe. I don't know. There's so many. There's too much. I don't know how you go about it because you want to regulate large companies, but they should welcome regulation because it drives out smaller companies. It's harder to enter the market with with regulations and just to get to the size, to have the efficiency to even play with the big boys.
I suppose depends on the regulation, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it'd be a far stretch to say that most industries are oligopoly. Oh my God. Not monopoly, but oligopoly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say a good percentage are.
And what is your opinion on that?
That's a hard one. I suppose that's just, for me, that's a fine line between letting business run its course and limited government involvement into turning, is this too much control for one company? Like big tech companies like Google. I mean, traditionally people who will say no government involvement in business, like hands-off approach, are saying Google needs to be split up or these big tech companies have too much control. So I don't know, that's a very hard question to answer because, if thinking from a company perspective, I mean, obviously any company wants to be the best. They want to have the biggest market share. That's just how companies kind of roll. That's what they're striving for, is profit. Well, the majority of companies are striving for profit and a big market share. And so when government comes in and, says, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, like that's cutting back on their market share. It's just depends on how you look at it, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. In order to make that argument, you would have to say that the market is even free to begin with, and I don't think it is. I don't think it's free enough to even have that opportunity.
Yeah, I suppose not.
As in, there are already so many pressures, and there are already governmental regulations that benefit that large company. Not to mention some of the funding or the seeding of some of those companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And defense contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Fair state.
What's that? Sorry, you cut out. What'd you say?
I said those are all fair statements. What I just said.
It's have some dead air while I think for a second.
Okay.
Tell us something. Tell me a story while I think.
Story?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not.
How have you been? This is a bunch of dense economic stuff. Tell us something about your you have a boyfriend now, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow. How's that? Tell us about love.
So what?
About love.
Oh. Ooh. Yeah.
That's it? That's all I get?
I don't know. I don't talk about emotions that much. I don't know.
You don't talk about emotions?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good. It's
What?
great. Good relationship.
That's all we're gonna get out of you?
What do you want me to say?
I don't. Whatever you want to say. I guess if it's nothing, then we'll move on. Are your horses still alive? Do you still have horses? Yes.
I still have 2 horses. Yep.
2 horses? How are they?
They're good. Yep.
Do you still compete?
Well, all the shows so far have been canceled, so haven't for a while, but
You would be?
I mean, I had two shows, one in March and one in April that I was planning on going to, but those were posted through the University of Findlay and closed down. So yeah.
What do you think about the close down?
I I don't know. I think people were so afraid and so, completely uneducated that I think it's scary how quickly us Americans who pride ourselves on our freedoms and liberties gave up our freedoms and liberties for security when now we're looking back at the numbers and the models and they're multiple times lower than what they were saying at the beginning in terms of death rate and in terms of infection rates. And I don't know. I've been getting, I don't know, it's aggravating for me. It's aggravating because, I mean, I just seeing the impact that it's having on people and on, 10% of the workforce lost their jobs within weeks, and the number's higher than that now. So, I mean, we got to balance lives saved with livelihoods lost, and I don't know. I'm getting stir crazy personally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So you've been home, you've been on lockdown the whole time, more or less?
I haven't. I still go to the barn every day, but occasionally go to the store. But I was working for the company that owns the Gathering restaurant in downtown Findlay, and obviously they closed. So even though I did other stuff besides the restaurant stuff, that was like solid 85% of my work is doing that. So I haven't had too much work to do. So I've just been studying and doing schoolwork and reading, and yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine how you could go stir crazy. It's like I'm still going to work every day, but I'm like on the weekends I kind of have been going stir crazy.
Yeah.
Luckily it's nice out. If it wasn't nice out, I think if it was winter or something right now,
yeah, that would not be good.
I probably would lose it.
I mean, even the days that are in the 40s and cloudy, it's just depressing. So depressing.
I'm living a little bit south, so it's actually 10 or 15 degrees warmer almost every day.
Oh.
That's great.
Where are you?
I'm in Bloomington, Indiana.
I don't think I know where that is.
Yeah, it's where Indiana University is, but it wouldn't help you. Do you know where Indianapolis is?
Roughly.
About an hour south. More or less, yeah.
Neat.
Neat. don't seem very enthusiastic today.
I'm not a very enthusiastic person.
Sometimes you are. I've seen you get worked up.
When? I don't ever remember being worked up.
Oh, you'd get worked up fairly often, I think.
No.
You had quite a personality. Probably. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Mellowed out a little bit, I feel
Mellowed
like.
out even more?
Even more? Like, what kind of personality do you say I have to begin with? I don't like you.
You don't like me?
I'm kidding. Sorry. Wait, what? Was I mellow in high school?
No, not really. That's what I was saying.
So you said I mellowed out even more,
Well,
that implies that I was already mellow.
Mellow, but you had moments where you were not mellow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You would get laughing, get worked up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Spanish class, physics class. See?
How's your birthday doing?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her.
Darn.
I think I sent her an email when I got back from Spain, but that's the only contact.
What?
Why do you ask?
Because you brought up Spanish class.
True. My little sister has her now.
She like her? She likes Spanish?
I don't know. I think sometimes she does. I think a lot of times she does not.
Feel that.
You didn't like it? Or just sometimes?
Well, I mean, I liked it a lot, but I feel like when I was doing Spanish, like in Spanish class, I liked it, but looking back now, like I don't have very good memories of it.
You don't have good memories? Why not?
Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. I like Spanish. We're just gonna go with that. Spanish is a great time. I dropped my minor. I was minoring in that at the beginning.
How many things were you minoring in?
So I started off, first I was going to major in math, but then Mr. Gherkin ruined that for me, taking calculus with him, because I couldn't stand 7:46 in the morning, him walking, like back and forth, and I'm like, calm down, like, oh my gosh, so then I changed. Second was majoring in accounting and a minor in Spanish, and then the end of my first semester I added finance, and the second there's like two accounting emphases. I added the second one in finance at the end of my first semester, and then the beginning of my sophomore year I switched my minor from Spanish to economics, and then this end of last semester, I changed it to business management. Yay!
And here you are.
Yes.
Are you happy with your decision?
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, I like.
Do you like managing? Do you have any experience with managing?
No, but I like the class. I like the classes that I have to take for my finance minor or my business management minor, because I'll get to take like HR, quality management, like Six Sigma stuff, which is really fun. So I think it'll be good, not necessarily like because of management, but just because of the overall business.
What do you
stuff
see yourself doing with it?
I mean, a minor really doesn't.
Well, no. Like in general, what do you see yourself doing in life? What are you going to do in life?
So I'm currently studying to take the level 1 of the CFA exam in December, and
Which is
Chartered Financial Analyst.
okay.
It's like investment management, portfolio management. The part that interests me is like research analysts. So there's a lot of research analysts that have their CFAs because it's doing like almost like all the back work to recommending what to invest in, like looking at all the complex mathematical numbers and, you know, theories and statistics and all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. But I don't know, down like big, big lifetime goal, like years down the road goal would be to be a CFO, but got a long ways to go to get there, you know? I haven't even graduated from college yet.
Yeah, you probably do have a little ways.
Mm-hmm.
What type of dive a little bit into that if you can. Tell me what interests you, what like give me some hints of what to look up as far as like your research, as far as what patterns you look for.
Well,
hold on a second, but let me like clarify again.
Good job, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you. What do you like? Yeah, give us a personal financial. You want me just to spit it out? I'm trying to think of how to.
Come on.
We'll start with from a personal standpoint. If you were looking at portfolio management, what would you look for?
Well, I'd go back to my financial statement analysis class that I took was probably my favorite class that I've ever taken. It's just looking at finding, basically the class was finding the intrinsic value of something. So using all of the fundamental factors to come up with future cash flows, the company has good management, good this, good that, and that all makes for a good stock to invest in. So, I mean, looking at the quantitative versus qualitative factors, I mean, qualitative is a little easier to talk to without getting into all of the complex.
Question. Stop. Stuff. Do you even think fundamentals matter anymore?
I don't. There's two, Finley is kind of small. So, like, there's the two main finance professors that I take classes with. One is a fundamental investor and one is a technical investor. So I just kind of I haven't come up with, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I haven't got to the point where I know enough to say what my investment.
Do you trade?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I do. I did. There's like a simulator that you can do that I had to do for one of my classes. But I don't know. It's really hard for me thinking of finance overall because people think that accounting and finance are like similar, but they're not at all similar.
No.
And accounting is so set in stone, where finance is so big thinking, that sort of thing. But where I see myself is like somewhere in between, where I'm using like the theories that I mentioned and testing stuff, coming up with ideas, coming up with rules, whether they're followed or not. Not necessarily. I think stock market, like actually investing, is so far. I don't know. I just don't click with it very well. I like looking at the more analytical, like thinking through stuff that way rather than just.
So in terms of like capital investment, then as opposed to I guess, yeah, as opposed to stocks, like, but if you were looking at a personal portfolio, I guess where else would you throw your assets if you don't want to really look into the stocks?
I mean, looking into the stocks is the part of that interests me is the
Analytical
underlying.
side.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yes, like capital investments, I got a taste of that in my last internship. A very brief overview of how Marathon does it, and it was. I mean, that's really cool too, because that's kind of same big ideas stocks, but with still looking at how much am I going to get out of this? Like, what's the return on this?
More
Same big
tangible,
principle.
actually,
Yeah,
I would think.
and a lot more predictable, probably.
Yeah. So what type of modeling do you use? Tell me about a cool method to model.
I feel like I need to whip out my financial statement analysis notes right now, but I won't.
Come on, you didn't come prepared with notes?
I seriously no. I wrote down stuff on crude oil. See,
Wow. I feel privileged.
I mean, it's good. I'm gonna like pin this up on my bulletin board or something. Um, yeah, I don't know where that is, so we're not gonna do that. So the most basic way of looking at it is like just discounted cash flow model, which is very basic in terms of stocks. But going back to like the crude oil stuff, one of the classes I'm taking now is finding the intrinsic value of derivatives like a crude oil futures contract. Like that's literally what I did today. So I mean that's kind of fun too. Just looking at see if I can find my notes on that. Yeah, forward and futures pricing. So basically the value of a futures contract, so the value of the crude oil contract that went negative today is equal to the price of actual crude oil now. So like the spot price we call it, not the futures contract, but the spot price. And then the whole concept of time value of money comes into play. So discounting back in time based on the interest rate that you're going to get, you're adding any sort of cost that comes with holding that contract and then subtracting any sort of money that comes in, like a dividend or in terms of bonds, it would be a coupon payment, and then just multiplying that forward by the interest rate to T, which is time. So it's with 1 year, 6 months, whatever.
What interest rate do you use?
I mean, that's given in all the problems that we worked through, but it's just whatever.
Would you use like what you think inflation is at the time?
The interest rate most times is
use like 3%.
Use like I think most of them are based on some sort of treasury security plus the inflation. Expected inflation is what's wrapped into that.
Okay. Yeah, I usually just guess like 3% and try to beat it.
That works too. Very logical and by the books.
Well, that's like general like inflationary driving.
You could pick worse numbers than that. Mm-hmm.
So what is this analysis giving you really? I mean, you're just trying to derive the value of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So say I find that a futures contract on, I'll just keep going with crude oil, is say it's worth $30. Like that's what I say it's actually worth. Mm-hmm. But on the market, it's actively trading at $35. So when you buy low, sell high. So you buy. That's what my Chinese professor. No, South Korean. Sorry, he's trying to say blash. Buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high. So you buy low, which would be the principles that make up what I say the value is, which is the current spot asset, and then you invest money at the interest rate that you use in your formula, and then sell. So you're shorting the futures contract. Short sell it.
Right,
long short.
But how are you taking into account the market at all for that, or the speculation on the commodity?
I mean, that's
because to tell you, I have placed puts on Well, I'll give an example. I placed a put on MPX, Marathon, or MPC, sorry, Marathon Petroleum, not recently, last January, expiring in like July. The value of that company was worth more than the stock price, but it never came close just because of how the market was looking at that stock. Or even right now, like the actual value of oil is not negative $37 a barrel.
Right.
So how would you account for that at all?
You're saying how does that account for what the...
Because in my opinion, you can't trade on intrinsic value because nothing's even like, I don't know, maybe some things are, but from what I've seen, most things are not really even close to their intrinsic value. Look at Ford versus Tesla.
Well, I'd just say that I think it's a lot of what's incorporated into that formula is that like the time value of money part of things, plus I mean that I'm questioning my knowledge of derivatives. I suppose so. Basically, like, say I execute that strategy that I mentioned, you're right in that whether I make money off of that or not, like all of that is dependent on my assumptions being right. Like any sort of strategy that any trader makes to try and make money is dependent on whether the assumptions that they baked into their model are correct or not. So if they're not right, then they're not going to be making the money that they think they're going to be making.
True. However, you could do that model completely correct. Say you knew the exact intrinsic value of the thing, but the market might not. It might not care what the intrinsic value is.
So the point of executing an arbitrage strategy like that is because it's considered risk-free. So we had to do spreadsheets basically mapping out what the strategy was, how much money we're investing at time zero versus how much we get at expiration or whatever. And the amount of that should always, if it's a perfect hedge, perfect balance, should be your risk-free rate. My head exploded when I found that out. Okay, we were going through problems, and I was completely lost as to what was going on. And then it equaled 5%, which is maybe we put in the beginning, and cool. That's cool. I'll send you spreadsheets, Clay.
Do it. I'd like to look at it.
Okay.
Do you think that it would have application in real life, though?
Yeah. I mean, this stuff that I'm learning in this class right now is literally a lot of the higher level material that's covered on the CFA exam that I'm studying for now. And that's what's used by, like, the material covered in that is completely irrelevant to what portfolio managers and investment managers and risk managers are using. So, yes.
I have to say that I don't think that it can work because otherwise everybody would be doing it, right?
Well, yes. I mean, that's the point of like an arbitrage like that. There's people whose livelihoods they depend on finding these disparities. But when they find them, I mean, just like that, like maybe just a few hundred trades and it's back to equilibrium. It's very interesting.
Maybe, I guess, I don't know. Maybe I haven't studied commodities or derivative markets much. So maybe. What about tulips? And where did that happen at? Do you study that in econ?
What?
The tulips? Yeah. You haven't?
I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Laura, what in the world?
What am I Googling? What should I
But I
look
can't
up?
even look up like tulip speculation. In like the 1700s in some country, I want to say like Belgium or something like that.
Holland.
Holland.
Tulip mania.
Yeah. They drove the price of tulips.
There's a period in the Dutch Golden Age during which contract prices for some bulbs of the recently introduced and fashionable tulip reached extraordinarily high levels and then dramatically collapsed. First speculative bubble.
First speculative bubble.
I'll have to read up on this. Extraordinarily interesting.
I don't know. I think we are in a giant bubble. I think we're going to try to continue to inflate our way out of it.
But modern monetary theory, y'all. Can print however much money you want. No inflation.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe it.
Yep. Nope.
It's really a lie. I don't know how you could believe anything else.
But AOC says it's true.
Does she? She should be against it. I don't understand, like, there is no... Politics are just awful right now. There's no left or right.
No, I literally just had this conversation with my parents tonight because we got our mail-in ballots, because we can't vote in person. It's just, I don't know. Even Republicans aren't, they aren't acting in a conservative fashion, in my opinion. Gosh, we have a guest visitor.
They're not at all. And I don't know. What's weird is man, my speaker got weird there. How's your cat? What's the name?
It's Annie.
What is it?
Annie.
Yeah. Wow. Indoor cats. Where was I going? I don't know. I think the left fringes and the right fringes are almost close to each other, minus social issues.
So yeah, let's not get into that.
I don't know. I think social issues are such a waste of time for the most part. What? Like, they spend so much time arguing over social issues that they really don't matter.
I mean,
some of them do.
If you haven't noticed, it's kind of you don't hear about that anymore. Like, I haven't heard about that since this whole entire pandemic started.
But you don't hear about anything.
It's just, we're all gonna die.
Conveniently, a lot of things have been silenced.
Very
I just don't. I mean, where does $4 trillion go, though, without a lot of abuse in that?
I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me. You tell me, Laura.
No, I don't want to tell you. I don't know. Because I don't know.
That's what... I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. The whole system is messed up. And I can't find my paper on the Federal Reserve that I wrote senior year.
You wrote it? Wait, you wrote a paper on the Federal Reserve?
That was my persuasive essay.
You didn't let me read this?
It was on abolishing the Fed.
Oh.
But then I think I changed my mind at the end. And I was like, we can't live without them. Unless we blow everything up.
That wouldn't be a good alternative.
Mostly metaphorically. Somewhat literally.
Maybe literally.
I don't know. We'll be... Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say that. It's just this like you can't have a system built on debt without building a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's possible. And our whole system is entirely built on debt. And it doesn't allow inefficient and poor operating companies to fail. They can just keep taking on debt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. So that's what I mean. There's no fundamental. That's why I don't even think the market is not tethered to anything intrinsic. Tell you the truth, I don't think there's really been much growth in our economy at all except for debt.
I suppose. Portion of it.
I don't know. And here's where you may contradict me. This is kind of a leftist thing, but wages need to increase.
Explain your reasoning.
Well, Miss Economist, I'll send you a little.
Oh my gosh. I told you, I'm not an economist, okay? I'm an accountant and a finance person.
Okay, listen to this. There's a graph. It is GDP and male median income.
Okay.
Same graph, okay? The axis is like dollars and time. So from the like foundation of America, it's probably not actually that far. It's probably like 1900 or 1880 or something. They increased lockstep. 1973, GDP soars, median income is flat, completely stagnant.
So you're saying
it hasn't grown. It's not growing with GDP. But I think it has to go up because here's the problem. There's too much. This might sound terrible to you, but there's too much money at the top.
Yeah, you really are sounding like a leftist right now.
Where I would disagree on it is probably how to distribute it, but there is too much money at the top. The problem is well, here's a little, I'll quote scripture for you.
Oh my gosh.
He who has much, much will be given, and he who has little, even that will be taken away. If you have money, it's literally physics. It's like gravity. Your money will attract money, and it just sucks it to the top. And then your system is going to get fragile. Like a billion, like not a billionaire, because a billion is not even that much, but multi-billionaires, it's hard for them, like as a percentage of money spent, they're not even spending that money. That money's not even being invested or spent or moved around. It's just somewhere. It's just digits in a bank account. So it's not even active. Do you get what I'm saying? Or like how much of our money is tied up in that or tied up in markets that provide, like the stock market really provides no, well, it does when people actually have IPOs, but beyond that, if a stock just continues to rise in value above its value, there's really not anything, there's no value added to it, to the economy.
So how do you propose that you get the money out of the top?
Good question. Very good question. That is the ultimate question, probably. I think I don't know. You might have to tax, you're probably going to have to tax some of the corporations. There's a very fine line between efficiency and redundancy in a system. And I think if you get too efficient, meaning you have like one monopoly or an oligopoly that runs completely efficient and runs every small business out of, you're going to have a very brittle system. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you want to balance between small companies, medium companies, large companies to have a nice, diverse ecosystem. I got into this actually studying ecological networks. And there's a guy, if you like the math and the models. There's this really good paper. It's a physicist, an ecologist, and an economist
Walk into a bar.
write a paper on, it's called ecological network analysis, and there's like applications of it in every field. There's also an interesting guy that wrote this paper about, I'm really tangenting. I didn't answer your question, but he wrote a paper about like how money follows laws of physics. And he equated it, well, he used some like Pareto distributions, but then he also like equated it to like water, like small streams and then rivers and then an ocean. And like when you run the numbers on them, I forget what type of math he's even doing, but it like lines up perfectly with wealth distribution.
Is tangenting a word? Tangenting?
Going on a tangent. Tangentially speaking.
Tangenting. I'm going to start saying that now. I like that.
It's a new word.
Tangenting.
It's been invented.
Tangenting.
I don't know. How would you propose getting, or do you not think money needs to come back down to the bottom at all?
I personally don't understand the hatred for big businesses. I don't. I don't know.
It's not a hatred for big business, in my opinion. Not from me, at least. Like, not at all. It's just...
I guess I don't understand. Like, you look at some of the lawmakers on the left saying that we shouldn't have this money going to businesses at all. It should go straight to the individual. And I say, no, it shouldn't. Like, if you don't give... I mean, this is such a strange time, but if companies can't afford to employ people, then, I mean, what's the point? I think... I don't know. I just think
but what company that is that size can't afford to employ someone?
That's true. That taking it out of this time, just in general, just big businesses in general. I mean, think of the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have their livelihoods because of that.
No, I agree. I think business does great for people, but actually, I just came up with the idea simpler than whatever I was saying before. Increased wages. That's what I meant to say.
I mean, but how many people who work for minimum wage actually, that's their sole livelihood? I mean, it's not.
What is their other livelihood? If they're living with someone else that's making money?
I mean, a large percentage of minimum wage workers are high school or college students.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking from an economic standpoint.
But how many people are working minimum wage or just slightly above for a long time, if not life?
I'm sure a lot of people. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. You can't say, like, I understand that me saying that don't increase minimum wage, people can take that into saying that, whatever they want to say about me.
I'm not even saying to have a government mandated minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that. I just think companies should pay more. No.
State by state, just by a company basis, depending on...
The companies should probably pay more, but they haven't had to. I don't know how.
There's pros and cons to that argument, I guess.
Sure. I don't know. If you look, if Amazon paid their workers more, I bet most of it would flow right on back. Walmart paid people more. They'd go spend more money at Walmart.
I mean, but to a degree, there's always the diminishing principles that fall into that. I mean, if you pay people $5 more, you're not going to get $5 back.
Yeah, you're right.
But then again, I mean, I don't think all of that money has to be. I mean, I'm a big saver. I don't like spending money, and I think that's a lot of the cries of financial distress, in my opinion, is due to lack of financial responsibility on a lot of people's parts. Because I look at some of the people in their 20s and 30s that I know, I'm like, what are you doing with your life? I mean, they maybe have a good $40,000-$50,000 job, which is enough for a lot of people in that age to live on modestly. But if you don't know how to manage that, I think that's also a big problem.
Yeah, I agree.
I think saving's a good thing. I don't I don't think, I mean, there's studies that show a lot of people just aren't, they're just completely not at all prepared for retirement. They have no idea what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're not saving enough money at all.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't think there's much of an incentive to save though.
No, no.
There's actually
I suppose
negative
not.
incentive to save. You actually lose money if you save it.
Very low interest rates.
Yeah, if we assume our 3% thing again. I guess I don't know how to phrase it. I'm playing these ideas out with you as a devil's advocate. So I'm not saying, oh, big business bad, labor. I'm not like pro labor union or something by any means.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'm very strongly capitalistic, but I think I've started to think that this isn't a free market system, so you can't pick the ideals of capitalism and then apply them to a system that is not a free market to make a point. It doesn't work that way.
I mean, there's a lot of people who argue that economic theory is just completely irrelevant now, which
Why?
I don't think it's that. I mean, a lot of people think that supply and demand, based on all the technological influences on it, just doesn't hold anymore. I don't see that being true, but maybe it is. I mean, that's what a lot of
Depends.
people. Yeah, depends on the
I think,
product or the service.
yeah, but how much is data and attention worth right now?
Data,
Yeah. How much is your
data's
data worth?
data's booming right now. Data's cool. I'm taking a data analytics course right now just for fun.
I know
You
it
should get into
is.
that, Clay.
It's fun. I've done some of it. I like it. I'm not sold on big data though. I think it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, what I work in it with is more internal company based rather than taking consumers' data
That's what I'm
from.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you're
it's a
not
whole different.
paying for the product, you're the product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what if you want to talk about big tech companies, that is scary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It really is.
I don't know. I just think you probably have to be vigilant on that. It's more, I don't know. It's kind of power at this point, almost as much as it is money.
Got to read the fine print before you hit accept on some of that stuff.
It doesn't even matter. You're already suckered.
Big Brother is watching.
Actually, I don't know. It's starting to look more and more Orwellian.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a depressing thing to say, but
That was a depressing book to read.
yeah.
I hated that book.
Well, getting close. What?
Nothing. Just laughing,
There's actually a proposition to look into. What is that called? Like before you commit a crime, to actually arrest you. What would that be called? Like pre.
Oh, it's like in Captain America, and they had all the pinpointed people, like, you're a threat, you're a threat, you're a threat. Stop. Elimination.
It's mind crimes.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. No. Don't like that.
No, why not?
I don't know. That's what.
Here's
do you
the
like
deal.
that?
Can you?
It's a good thing.
No, I don't like it.
Okay.
But I don't know if this beast is ever going to stop. I think once it's set in motion, and probably some of it could be good, but you're going to lose freedom.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that, see, if you want to talk about a surveillance state and how much in big data,
Okay.
would it be beneficial? Yes, to a huge degree. What totally changes it, though, is everybody being watched, or are there some people that aren't being watched? And who is watching and who is feeding out the content? Who is guiding the directions? All right, let's talk about big data. Let's talk about big data. Let's talk about the coronavirus modeling.
Okay.
How close were they to that?
Not at all.
Okay, so that's my point with, like, you can take numbers and warp them into, like, literally anything that you want.
A model is only
or you can
what you put into it. Yep.
So that's why I don't if you want to take all this effort and stick it into data analytics or building an AGI, how do you, I don't know. I'm losing my...
You tangenting?
Yeah. Sorry. You got to interrupt me. I'm feeling
You're
very...
tangenting. Shut up.
I'm going off today, and I can tell that it's not entirely coherent. I'm trying to leave breadcrumbs places.
Breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Maybe people will pick up on them. Nobody even listens to these anyway, so...
Sweet.
It's basically just a one-on-one conversation.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not entirely optimistic right now. Why is that?
Like you're in the first stage of depression.
No.
You admitted you have a problem. Isn't that the first part?
Admitting you have a problem?
I don't know the stages. Isn't that denial and then admitting you have a problem?
Is it a problem though to look at this that way?
To look at the state of our nation in that way?
Sure. I wasn't even talking about the state of our nation, but yeah, we could talk about that.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Life.
The state of our nation?
I'll be right back.
Oh, Laura, come on. We can't have this dead air. All right, everybody. Oh, she's already back. Just kidding. I thought I was going to have to say something on my own.
Heaven forbid.
Laura, what do you think about the state of our nation before I go off?
No, this was your question. You're supposed to answer this.
All right, you want me to answer it?
And I'll just sit here and nod along.
You want optimistic view or pessimistic view?
What's your real view?
I don't know. It oscillates. And I can make arguments for both.
Okay.
If you look at history,
yes,
there are several factors that would point to us being a declining empire on probably the verge of collapse. But maybe fortunately for us, those collapses usually take like 300 years to happen. But I would say you definitely have a lot of the exact same factors in place. And I don't know if you can even right the ship at that point. I don't know if it's even a thing that can happen or if it just plays itself out. What say you?
That's all.
That's all? Do you want me to keep going?
No, you're good. I don't know. I don't think I'm there yet to say that this is the beginning and the end. I don't know. I think by the end of this year I'll have a better answer for you. I don't know.
I'll tell you what could get us out.
War.
Well, yeah.
World War II.
Or
that's what happened with World War II.
Preferable to war. We need the next technological advance. I think we've been stagnant since probably the 60s, 50s, 60s.
What do you want? Flying cars?
No, flying cars impractical and pointless and dangerous and loud. And a myriad of other reasons why there would be no reason to have flying. How about space exploration?
What about it?
How about it? I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. Maybe that's the next area to grow. You can go mine precious metals off of an asteroid or something. Go set up. I mean, obviously a colony is incredibly far away, but
I mean, is that
even feasible?
Is it
I don't even know.
Throwing the money at that? Is it worth it to throw money at that?
To throw money at space?
Like when we have all the stuff going on here on Earth that we could.
What?
I don't know. I just think is that really the answer?
I don't know. What would be the next leap?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know.
What else would you do? I don't know. Or maybe we should just ride this. Maybe we should just destroy the world economies and go through a stage of degrowth and destroy globalization and destroy commoditization and live in regional city-states, state nations, and grow food for ourselves and raise cattle.
Like dystopian tale or something.
I know that.
Write a book. No, write a book. This could blow up.
Not writing
this could be the next Hunger Games or whatever.
When I was in Spain this summer, there was a whole set of economists there that were, I don't even know what, but they were talking about degrowth. This was their actual thing, degrowth. It was literally like a 90% GDP cut. That's what they were saying. To survive the climate change catastrophe.
Okay.
Isn't that kind of insane?
Spain is insane.
Could you imagine a night? I'm not saying it's not what all the Spanish think is like a small little group of under or post-grad students. You know.
Is there a question? What am I supposed to say? I'm bad at this. Don't ever invite me back on.
You're done. It might have been easier in person. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't even know. What's that?
I said 6 feet, of course. You might have the Rona.
Probably. I don't know what we're even trying to get to for a conclusion to this. We said a lot of things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is there any way you want to wrap it up in a bow and deliver us something? Give us something hopeful on our way out.
Hopeful?
Yeah, something optimistic. I think I'm being too negative right now, but I think that a lot of these things are important points. You're going to be a slave for the next 100 years to the corporation.
100 years. I'm going to live to be 121. Wow.
The cartel of they're going to extend your living so that you can be a slave.
I don't want to live any longer. Be any longer than I naturally would live. I don't want to die. I don't know. What's a happy way to end it?
Tell something happy. Laura Harper is starting the revolution tomorrow. She still has faith in America. We're not an empire in decline.
We'll single-handedly save the world.
I don't know. We have it too easy. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. I don't have anything super hopeful.
Tell us something. I've been rambling. I'm not coherent tonight. This might get shelved. I'm sorry if this gets shelved.
Fine.
It's fine with you. Maybe we'll actually clip it. We haven't even clipped any of these, but I don't know if I can do the whole thing.
Just include tangenting.
Huh?
You have to include tangenting.
Have to take the tangenting out.
But include the clip where you said tangenting, because that's the highlight of my night.
That's the highlight of your night is tangenting.
Tangenting. Mm-hmm. I think that's the antonym of segueing.
No.
Segueing. Tangenting. Honestly, trying to think of something.
You can't think of anything positive?
Oh! Yes! Okay, so Ohio's reopening on May 1st.
Are they actually?
Phase 1. Okay, that's what they're... Don't ruin my joy here, okay? So we're tentatively opening Phase 1. In Phase 1, guess what? Critical business is allowed to reopen.
What?
Guess.
No.
You have to guess.
Why do I have to guess?
Just guess.
Restaurants.
I mean, yeah, I think they are, but that's not what I was going to say.
I don't know. Horse shows.
Think you give up?
No. Ice cream.
I think that's included in restaurants.
It's already open, isn't it? I don't know. What do you do? I don't know what you do that would be Phase 1. Go ahead.
The gym.
Oh, the gym. Yeah. You're into working out now?
I have a Anytime Fitness membership.
A Planet Fitness membership? Anytime.
Like Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness.
Oh yeah.
I don't think
I've been to Anytime Fitness.
Spike Games. They just moved recently.
And your Gymshark stuff.
Yeah.
You should have known. You've been converted.
I mean, I started running. No, my freshman year, I half-heartedly worked out. In my sophomore year, I ran because I thought running was the thing to do. And then at the beginning of last summer, I changed more strength training stuff. And yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Except I've been back to running because the gym's closed.
Yeah. That is depressing. That has been closed. So it's tough because it becomes like an addiction. Mm-hmm. You need it to function. Mm-hmm.
So that's hopeful closing. Okay.
Will the gym be open?
Next month.
I can't believe that they would actually open that right away.
actually open it until like mid-month maybe. But the thing is, they're allowed to open. Okay, they're allowed to open.
That's good. We'll have hope.
Yeah, that's my hope.
All right. Well, Laura, thank you for joining me and surviving my tangenting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a struggle.
I know. This might be a struggle. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like listen to it and see like where it really derails and stuff. Because I was not on my game tonight, but
Should have picked a different day.
different day. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe like Saturday would have been spot on.
you couldn't do it
Tangenting
Saturday,
for you.
could you?
I don't remember. I know I don't think I could. No, I couldn't. I was at the barn.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yo,
Yep. I'll talk to you
have
later.
fun in Indiana.
Oh, I
Bye.
will. Bye.